At just 24 years of age, she made headlines after landing a book and movie deal before her debut novel, Children of Blood and Bone, was even published. Please welcome author Tomi Adeyemi.
Yes!
Unbelievable.
Yes, congratulations.
This doesn't happen very often at all.
Yeah, even for me, people are like, oh, what is it like? And I was like, I don't really, even being here, we were sitting in the green room and I was like, yeah, I can't put my head around what's happening, so I'm just going to go through it and then I'll freak out afterwards.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Okay, well, let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
First of all, from HF, Homewood Flossmoor area, right?
Yeah, that's where I was originally born and raised, and then I moved to Hinsdale for high school.
Right, and when did you pick up the pen and put it to paper and start writing?
So that actually happened when I as soon as I learned to read. So I didn't even know I was writing.
No way.
I had seen The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan. I was watching this Bollywood movie every day called Kabhi Khushi Kabhie Gham, and I was doing the dances, and I really liked their outfits, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna just keep watching this. And I was reading books about a horse farm, and then one day I was like, okay, I can give myself all these things. I want a sari, I want a twin, I want a horse, and I can only get that in a story. So I didn't process that I was writing, but I went to the big Microsoft computer.
Yes.
And I was like, why didn't my parents let me on the computer? What did they think I was doing?
How old were you when
I was really young. So I had just basically, as soon as I learned to read, as soon as I could put words together, that's when I started
probably 2 or 3 years old.
Yeah, well, I don't think I was that smart.
Well, pretty smart.
Okay, your dad is over there. Your dad is saying 5. You started writing at 5 years old.
5 years
That's
old.
impressive.
Went on to graduate from Harvard, by the way.
By 10.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you took a trip to Brazil to study West African mythology and culture. What did you learn?
Well, so originally I went to study the parallels between their history of slave trade and the American history of slave trade. But the museum that I'd built my entire trip around, my proposal around, was closed for renovations. And I was like, I came to Brazil for this. And they were like, and I was like, okay. But then I ended up in this gift shop and I saw the poster, a poster of 9 Orisha, and it was, for me, it was like seeing African gods and goddesses, and I had never seen anything like that. And I think we're going through this with Black Panther, where a lot of Black people, you don't realize what you don't have until you see it for the first time. And you're like, I feel all these things that I've never felt before. And for me, seeing sort of just African gods and goddesses, you're surrounded with Zeus and we know gods and goddesses, but we never see them. We never see ones that look like me, or that look like us, or that have really dark skin but look beautiful and magical and sacred. So seeing that, I instantly knew I wanted to do something with it. And then I was just like, wait, this is not only it's West African, I was like, this is Nigeria? This started kind of in Nigeria and went around the world during
your heritage?
Yeah, so I was like, it felt like I had discovered something in my own backyard. And so I knew I wanted to build a world around it, but I didn't have the story idea until 8 months later. I saw a picture. It was another picture of a magical Black girl, and she had bright green hair.
Yeah.
But it was just so beautiful, and it looked. I was like, I wanted to know her story, so I started imagining what it would be like, and
And that's the premise of the
she
book.
doesn't have bright green hair, but just imagining what a magical story with a Black girl could be turned into this big epic adventure. And then I was like, oh, and here's where the Orisha come in. So yeah.
Wow. And it's already in talks for a movie?
Yeah, so Fox and Temple Hill Productions, so the Hidden Figures, The Maze Runner, Twilight, they're making it into a movie, and I was like, okay, that's cool.
So that's more than talks.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot goes into who plays what character, but if you have your wish list, who is your main character on the cover of the book?
If you had asked me that even 2 years ago, I would have names, but I think the thing, especially when we look at something like Black Panther, I went into that so excited for Lupita, because I love when she came on the scene, that was someone who made me feel Black can be beautiful too. So I'm so excited to see her.
Yeah.
I loved her. I loved Chadwick. I loved Michael B. Jordan. But I came out obsessed with Letitia Wright and Winston Duke and Denai Guerrera. So I feel there's so many Black actors and actresses that we still need to discover and we still need roles for. So part of me is there are people I love, but then I know there's people out there that I will fall in love with if they're given the chance. So I can't be oh, I know who I want to be this, because I know there's someone out there that we can discover and that this could be a platform for them. So yeah.
I was just gonna say, you're you took the words right out of my mouth when you said discovering somebody.
Yeah.
But if you do go with somebody I see Denai.
I was. Oh
I do. When I look at her, I'm like, oh yeah,
when I
that's
watched
her.
Black Panther, I was like, she's throwing the spear, and I'm,
Yeah.
you know, I was
She's
just like,
powerful.
oh
You
my
don't wanna
gosh.
mess with her.
No, I was so. It was great because she wasn't even the superhero, and I was like, you're the most powerful person in this film.
Maybe more so than Chadwick.
Yeah, so it was amazing.
I know you were in Good Morning America, just yesterday?
Yeah.
Good Morning America yesterday, getting a ton of attention. Stephen King, the great Stephen King, tweeted, "How terrific is this?" Talking about your work. You've been compared to J.K. Rowling. What is it like to have these people who have been there, done it, kind of laid the foundation, and they're admiring you?
Yeah, well, especially with the Stephen King thing, because that happened after when I held, like, I got a copy of my book for the first time.
We have video of that. We want you to.
Let's take a look. Let's take a look.
It's beautiful.
It's really beautiful.
Oh my god.
And it's real. Like, look at this. Oh god.
It's so cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah, see, now I'm getting like emotional again seeing.
Who was videotaping that?
My boyfriend was, and the book is dedicated to my boyfriend and my parents because, you know, my parents like gave me this world and they pushed me to work really hard, so they kind of created me to be able to do this. And then my boyfriend was the one that was like, hey, you need to like take a chance on yourself, go write this. And so I think I was getting emotional even just hearing his voice and being like, oh, I need to call him.
I know, because you've been traveling. How long did it take you to write?
So from opening the first, like the blank page of the first draft to turning this in like middle of December, it was like 18 months.
18 months.
Yeah, so there's a lot of rewriting. The first draft came out really fast. This is probably like draft 40.
Right,
So it was
because
like,
that's the thing with writing a book.
Yeah.
There's so many rewrites.
yeah, and I didn't know that until really getting into it. Like, and I think that's the other thing is a lot of times writers feel discouraged because our first drafts are awful. They're so bad, and then you pick up a book you love, and you're like, well, I'm clearly not cut out to do this. But what we don't realize is that person was editing again and again and again for like years.
Yes, well, keep coming and seeing us again
Yeah.
and again. All right,
You
make
are
sure you pick up a
special,
copy of Tomi's debut novel. We'll be right back.